This is Valley News Live at 5.
Our recent streak of hot weather in the valley has left lakegoers scratching earlier than usual as swimmer's itch has taken over many Minnesota and North Dakota lakes. But DNR officials tell Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley the worst should be over soon.
As temperatures go up, unfortunately, so does the probability of contracting swimmer's itch, something Amanda Blado and her friends found out the hard way last week when floating in Jewett Lake near Fergus Falls.
Not even a day later, most of the gals had said they'd seen little red bumps on their arms.
Saying while they had heard swimmer's itch was present in the lake, they decided to take their chances while also taking precautions.
We were like, well, if we rinse off right away, we'll be fine. But that was not the case. So I don't know if it's because we were out there for so long or we went out and in a couple different times.
A theory Essentia Health nurse practitioner Rachel Felighty confirmed.
Typically, you won't get infected with this parasite on the first exposure, but the in and out reinfection is what does it.
Nathan Olson with the Minnesota DNR says it's hard to predict, but usually 2 to 3 weeks after the hot weather streak is when the peak of swimmer's itch should diminish.
We would hope by the 4th of July it shouldn't be as bad as what they've been experiencing lately.
But Olson adds there is always a chance for swimmer's itch, suggesting to swim further out from the shore and to both dry off and wash up immediately after getting out of the water to prevent the parasites from latching on.
Any lake that has the snails and ducks, which is almost every lake, there's a potential for it to be there.
And both Olson and Felighty emphasize spending time at the lake isn't unsafe, saying your itchy bumps will only last a week or two. In Lakes Country, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
The Minnesota DNR adds so far they have not yet seen any reports of blue-green algae, but they say if conditions don't change anytime soon, lakegoers and pet owners could be facing a different reality.
Definitely, if we don't get rain for quite a while and this drought extends into August, then there's a potential that we could see some algae blooms occurring definitely later this summer.
Olson says the most likely place the toxic blooms would grow first are smaller ponds, backyards, and wetlands. Over 100,000 acres of land in North Dakota has been scorched by wildfires so far this year. That's a dramatic increase from last year when nearly 12,000 acres burned. The Roosevelt Creek fire north of Medora burned nearly 5,000 acres alone. Authorities say it's critical to pay attention to local ordinances and burn bans, as most wildfires are started by people. If you have been yearning for the hot weather, it is on the way. But first, let's get through this evening. Hutch, how's it looking?
Thanks so much, Andrea. Heading into your evening, we have a few high clouds out there, but by and large, things are very quiet here across the valley. Taking a look at your current temperatures across the area, we are warmest out to the west and south of Fargo, where it's 91 in Aberdeen, capital city at 94 degrees, 76 for Badette, and 81 in Wadena, Detroit Lakes, and Fergus Falls. Look at the heat out in the Big Sky country of Montana, 108 degrees in Miles City, Glasgow at 102. With heat indices that are even worse. It's sizzling hot out there. We won't be that hot tomorrow, but the heat is on. Quiet conditions tonight, a few high clouds streaming overhead, and easterly flow across Minnesota, keeping your area a little cooler. So for Fargo, we slip into the 70s as we approach the sunset hour. It looks very comfortable. Get out and enjoy with a southeast breeze that won't be too bad, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. 60s by bedtime in Grand Forks tonight. I'll have details on some thunder in your hump day forecast, and we'll look ahead to good old Father's Day weekend coming up here in just a moment.
Okay, thanks, Hutch. We are learning more about a Memorial Day hit-and-run crash in Beltrami County that killed a man. The sheriff's office says they have tracked down the driver. They have also identified the victim as 58-year-old Sean O'Malley. The crash happened on May 31st near Waskish Township, near Trunk Highway 72. No charges have been filed yet. We are also learning more about a crash in Grand Forks that left a child injured. Police say the driver is 30-year-old Austin Carl. His car smashed into a traffic light at the intersection of Gateway Drive and North Washington Street last Saturday. Police say he then hit 4 parked cars at the Galaxy Auto dealership before the car came to a stop on its roof. Both passengers, including a child, were taken to a hospital, but they are expected to be okay. Take a look at this. The red Jeep was moved upright again following a crash this morning. A witness told us the driver was heading west on 23rd Avenue when it hit a silver car parked on the side of the road. The driver was trapped in the car for several minutes before authorities arrived. An officer said the driver will likely be cited for distracted driving. Police say catalytic converter thefts are still on the rise, and they've got some tips on how to keep your car in one piece. A catalytic converter is your last line of defense against harmful exhaust, turning pollutants into harmless gases. Your vehicle will make a loud roaring sound that gets louder as you push the gas pedal. Thieves steal them because they contain precious metals like platinum and rhodium, selling for up to $200. There are ways to prevent this. You can park inside your garage if you have one. If not, keep your car in a well-lit area close to a building entrance. Engrave your catalytic converter with your vehicle identification number, and then if it's stolen, this will show exactly which vehicle it goes to. Also, some mechanics will mark your catalytic converter with heat-resistant paint. A search to recover assets linked to one of the largest financial crimes in Minnesota's history has gathered $722 million. A bankruptcy trustee says his work to collect assets from Tom Petter's $1.9 billion Ponzi scheme is nearly done, 13 years after the search began. Petters was indicted in 2008 on multiple counts of mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy for operating the scheme, which spanned 26 countries. A federal jury found him guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to 50 years in prison. A group of property management companies suing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison to end the state's eviction moratorium. They argue the pandemic relief measure has made it difficult to address safety concerns and regain possession of their properties. The legislature has reached a deal on a so-called off-ramp to end the eviction moratorium, which would conclude 105 days after it's enacted. Renters with outstanding rental assistance claims would be allowed to stay in their homes until June of 2022. For the first time in nearly 2 years, Newman Outdoor Field will be able to hold baseball games and other events at full capacity. The city, Fargo Cass Public Health, and the state of North Dakota approved the stadium to allow full attendance for all events beginning today. All socially distant tickets sold for Redhawks games before today will be honored and accommodated, but those tickets will no longer be available for future games. The Redhawks open up a 6-game series at home this Friday night. Hospital staff from across the state are learning decontamination techniques in Bismarck. They're learning how to treat victims who have come in contact with dangerous chemicals. First, they learned about the importance of personal protective equipment, and then they got to practice what they learned.
The people attending this hospital decon course, operations level, are going to be the supervisors for their hospitals doing decon out in the field.
The program is funded by the Hospital Preparedness Program through the State Health Department. Still to come, the extreme heat in the western U.S. is breaking records and causing problems for people living there.
And your forecast, well, it's not bad now, but tomorrow the heat will be on. I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect. We can see a thunderstorm or two as well, but a better chance of rain in the future. I'll tell you when, next.